Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Anonymous, and here is her story. Dear Ollie, here's my letter. I sent a donation earlier today. For now, I am anonymous, although I am considering to expose the narcs. I want your feedback. To begin, it is comforting to me to know that more and more that parental narcissism is being exposed and brought into the light of day. I like the term the narcissistic resistance, like the French resistance fighting Nazi Germany. Nazi Germany did not fall because the Nazis were forgiven. It fell because they were resisted, fought, and defeated. My experience was a deeply hurtful relationship with a narcissistic father, and it has been a huge challenge to deal with. Who doesn't want a father? It was not easy for me to walk away saying to myself that he will never change because I kept hope alive. I now realize the gaslighting was the reason I could not easily break from him. I felt that every decision I made was wrong and I had no good foundation on which to build a new life, that my survival depended on him. I have had to work hard to overcome the programming. I will write more about my long and painful story later. For now, I want to write about the narcissist's death and the will because I am feeling stuck. Before I even go, if there's anything about you trying to get any access to that will, forget it. Forget it. It's not worth it. It's never worth it. And 99 times out of 100, you don't get anything anyway. They end up cutting you out. So, let's see. He chose to hurt me through his last will and testament on this earth. They always do. And the will was the final fuck you. At the time of his death, I happened to be living in a country where it's illegal to disinherit a child, which got me thinking, what if parents were not allowed to disinherit a child? Think of the narcissist responses. They would hate not having that control or weapon, and would be a great thing to see some of their power to hurt eradicated. You know what I think would happen? I guarantee you in that country where that happens, there's a lot more instances of parents killing their children. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Because the narcissist isn't going to take the narcissist doesn't take the loss. They're going to find a victory anywhere they can. And that narcissistic injury, if I can't kill you, you're not going to get my money. I'll kill you first. I'll kill you and then myself. They'd rather go to prison than see you get that money. I have done some research and found that at least 18 countries either do not allow disinheritance, or at least they allow a will to be challenged if a child is left out. Anyway, I came back to the U.S. to the funeral. I got a weird feeling from my golden child sister. First, she came up to me and hugged me and told me that we would get through this together. But unbeknownst to me, she had secretly had my father write a new will a year before his death. In it, he gave millions to her and her 2 children, leaving three of us children out in the cold. She was his trustee, healthcare proxy, everything. At any moment, she could have insisted he share. She could have shared it after his death. Of course, that didn't happen. The narc baton has been passed from him to her. When I asked her about the will, she would not tell me anything. She said, call the lawyer in charge, who also stonewalled me. She accused me of only caring about the money, deflecting, and projecting. They waited for me to fly back home across the country and only then mailed me a copy of the will. Of course, I was upset. I flew back to attend the court hearing to fight it, and that was the first time she ever called me to tell me I was being selfish for holding things up. How about her being selfish for taking everything? I asked if each of us could get 100,000 out of the millions to somehow make it more palatable to us. She refused a penny extra. There is a brother who I consider a flying monkey, and it is a complicated story, but he is quite wealthy. I called him to ask why my narc father would do such a thing. He said that my father had given me $10,000 and I should be grateful for it. The $10,000 payoff is simply a legal ploy to make it easier to fight off claims of any disinherited children. It shows they fully understand that you are their child, but they give you a specific amount that makes it a stronger legal case. I was the first scapegoat, and when I left to live on the other coast, the narc abuse began to focus on the other sibling, and they left. And then the other was targeted. The three of us all were left out of the will, being given 10,000 out of millions. I consider being left out. That my flying monkey brother would say that it was a gift I should be grateful for, and that the golden child sister said we could get through this together, and also told me she truly hopes the best for me. What a load of crap. Shows the sadistic sickness in our family. I consider him a flying monkey because he told me later that my narc father went to him before signing the new will and asked his opinion on everything to the golden child sister and her 2 children, leaving us 3 children out. That brother said nothing to defend the 3 of us. He said whatever he wanted to do was totally fine, and leaving out the other 3 is okay. Also, when I found out about all of this, I asked that the only possession I wanted was my china set that I had picked out, and my narc father paid for it and said it was a gift for me and he would keep it in the house until I owned a home of my own to keep it in. It was a discontinued pattern, and it was always my favorite that he and my mother split up and lost most of the pieces in their divorce. As far as I knew, I was the only one who ever cared about it. This wealthy brother insisted my narc father gave the china to him and refused to let me have any of it. Yes, I can let that go, but I mentioned to illustrate the cruelty and sickness of mind going on here. A brother worth millions and millions would take the china set that I personally went to pick out each piece and package and mail to the narc father for safekeeping. I mean, I know I was stupid to think the narc father would ever actually give it back to me, but the Flying Monkey Brothers' actions are reprehensible. I ultimately decided to forego the 10 grand. Not that I couldn't use 10,000, but I didn't want any part of that shit show. I told them to donate it to an abused children's fund. What you should have done is taken the 10 grand and put it into, like, what I would have done. See, now what I would have done and should have thought, I would have taken the 10 grand and I would have taken out a full-page newspaper ad in their local papers, naming them, telling them exactly what they did to their family. I don't know why you're saying anonymous or keeping any of them anonymous at this point. What's the point of not exposing them? Why? They're not going to give you the money. You played right into them by flying back and forth and begging. Nope. Never works. An aunt, an uncle, and a cousin-in-law were at the memorial service. It was held at the nursing home near the Golden Child Sister rather than our hometown where my father's life was. Only about 20 people attended. It was sad. But at least those extended family members witnessed the behaviors and antics, for example, of the Golden Child Sister, tried to leave me out of being able to say a few words about him. Why would you want to? Why would you want to? After all of this, why would you want to? It gave me some real comfort that I didn't go through it entirely alone, although, like you have mentioned many times before, it's crumbs, no real support, just crumbs of support that gave me slight comfort. And it shouldn't, because that's exactly what it is. Because if they gave a shit about you, they would have stood up and said, what are you doing to your family, stealing their money from them like this? How dare you? Another aunt told me she thought it was horrible, but then later sent me an article by a money management columnist, Michelle Singletary, which said that disinheriting is the parent's right and that basically you must get over it and heal because you're not morally entitled to anything. The article was called "Do Not Equate Parental Love with Contents of the Will." This cut me like a knife. A Washington Post column is a big influence, and people who think like this are dangerous for children abused by narcissistic parents. She downplays the abuse and makes it worse by putting the burden on the children to not feel entitled to fair treatment by the parent. She is a money management columnist, not a therapist. And all that is an open gaslight. So that's a societal gaslight. Basically letting the baby boomers know, hey, it's all right to cut out your kids. Spend it on yourself. Also, I agree with your point in your video I just watched about the gaslighting that is worst of all. It is the way the narcs get the child to learn to beat him or herself up so they cannot easily get away. My life has been about reprogramming from that gaslighting. So a related side note is that I was listening to a video of the comedian Dave Chappelle recently, and he got serious for a while. He talked about the ways in which a pimp breaks a prostitute, breaks her spirit. The main way the pimp does this is by beating her with a coat hanger senseless, then picking her up and nursing her. Notice I didn't say nurse her to health, just nurse her enough. Crumbs. This is what the narcissist parent does. Whether physically or mentally, it's a deliberate form of mindfuckery, and the prostitute, who is probably from an abusive home already, cannot see beyond the fact that the pimp nursed her. The spirit then can be broken, so she gives up and gives in. Back to the will. According to narc parents, oh, the scapegoated child doesn't deserve the money because of this or that reason. I'm sure my father and golden child's sister have a million reasons why she deserved the money and we didn't. All this smoke and mirrors. Even if the children don't seem like successful people, I think we should get estate money to give a go and finally have a chance at some support in life without the narcissist on this earth to ruin it. One, I think if you have a child, you owe them whatever you have to give from your estate. Two, I think the public needs education that the correct behavior of any sibling being given preferential treatment is to refuse the special treatment and insist all this be treated fairly. Business schools teach this for ethics in business. Why not ethics in family? Because you can't teach ethics in family. Okay? If you gotta set laws, if you gotta make laws for a family to be ethical, you got bigger problems than the fucking will. You can't legislate good behavior in a family. You can't legislate, you're not. The only thing you can do is get away with it. You're trying to bring in what? The government? Under what? Penalty of law? And then it sounds good. Yeah, you get the narcissist, you call the cops, the narcissist gets arrested or whatever, you take him to court. It ain't worth it. It's more battle. That only gonna embolden the narcissist. If you're in a position, and the other thing is, what if a kid really is bad news? What if the kid is a drug addict, spends, steals? You don't want to give that person money. And I'm not saying that's why you deserve to get cut out of your will. The will, I'm not. But you can't have the government trying to legislate this either. Because if the government has to legislate it and you're getting cut out, you got bigger problems in the family than that. 3, Miss Singletary's article needs a strong response. I wrote to her a few times, and to her credit, she did alter the article a few times. However, she still doesn't get it fully. She still blames the victim. Of course, I hope to heal and forgive, but that doesn't make any of it right, or whoever would have the gall to tell a rape victim you are not entitled to be treated humanely, and you just need to get over it and heal and forgive. Would you ever tell a Holocaust survivor that because it was the law of the time that it was okay? No. The Nuremberg trials declared that the right behavior is always right, and that just because the laws are bad, that is not an excuse. If people want to write to her, they can Google Michelle Singletary, Washington Post. Do not equate parental love with contents of the will. Even the name of the article is infuriating. So a parent can claim to love you but not give you anything. Treat you like shit, but somehow it is your fault for the wanting fair treatment, for not believing they love you. Bullshit. 4, on a more encouraging note, there is an attorney in Canada, Trevor Todd, who helps children in Canada who have been disinherited. His research says that most cases involve a narcissistic parent, and his province of Canada, the will can be, and in his province of Canada, the will can be fought. So the other point of this letter is that I have transcended the family issues. But the injustice of watching a golden child sibling take the entire estate is still infuriating me and has brought on some depression. I did not originally expect that there would be any money in the estate because the narc's third wife, I figured, would find a way to take it all. But to watch my sibling backstab me, then live in the lap of luxury while I worry every day how I will take care of myself financially totally sucks. There are 3 of us left out, and we all have different health issues we struggle with, which I am convinced is the result of childhood abuse and neglect. I also want to say there was a day I don't think I would have weathered something like this, so I realize I have made a lot of progress. And I hope that as the situation becomes more and more clear, that I will eventually be stronger for it. To realize that they never did love me, and that this will was just the culmination of long-standing plans to hurt me. My question right now is, how do I deal with the golden child and extended family? Probably no contact for the golden child. How are you not no contact already? How you deal with it is you expose them by name to anybody who'll listen. You know she tricked my sick father to change the will a year before he died. Got my father to change the will a year before she died and cut out all her family. That's what you do. And you never acknowledge them again, other than to expose them. Whether it be on YouTube or, you know what? If you could still get access to that 10K, I would get it. I would take that 10K and I would use it to expose them. I would put in ads in the paper. I would expose them with it. Probably no contact for the golden child, but damn it, I see your name on Facebook through extended family. Both parents are now dead. That aunt recently passed away. I wanted to attend the funeral. However, I have pain issues and don't do well traveling. I ended up deciding to stay home. That decision alone caused me flashbacks in that I panicked over what to do. Anyway, they told me it was horrible that the golden child took the estate. Right, but they didn't tell her that. They didn't demand, hey, you want to be a part of this fucking family? You're going to do what's right by your brothers, by your siblings. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. Yet they never said a word about her to her about it, right? Crumbs, right? I still feel alone in this. The other 2 siblings left out went their own ways a long time ago. As the oldest, I did want to fight the will and get a fair share for all of us. I did for a while, but I don't have the money to give expensive lawyers, and the lawyers all told me it was a difficult one to fight. That being mean and abusive in a will is not against the law here in the U.S. I fought as long as I could, but the toll was too much. It seemed like it was going to consume my life and my wallet and hurt my health, and I was all alone. Also, by the way, the will was never intended to become public knowledge. It was a fluke that he died before his 3rd divorce monies were finalized. So it was required to go through probate, which made the process public. At least I got to know I was being backstabbed, and this is a helpful lesson for me. I was probably backstabbed all my life, and I didn't even realize it. Like you, Ollie, as a teenager, I contemplated suicide. It just seemed there was never any answer. My narc father even had the audacity to tell me once that some people should just commit suicide. It's the honorable thing to do. Remember at the beginning of this video when I said if they couldn't cut you out, they'd kill you? Remember when I said that? Be happy you lived where somewhere, because he might have just killed you instead. They might have just killed you instead. I'm thinking to write a blog or a book to expose him, and to expose the golden child sister who has now morphed into the narc. It's what I basically told you to do at the beginning, isn't it? For her to tell me she truly wishes me well and to have hugged me and told me she would get through we would get through this together while backstabbing me shows me she picked up the narc baton easily. She's a sadistic liar. When people see her driving expensive cars and living the luxury life in an expensive house, having trust fund kids, it would be good for people to know how she got the money. She even had the gall to tell me at the funeral that he didn't love me. And that they were so close. Really, they were not. It's just that she was always ready to accept all favoritism at our expense. She thinks it's because they were close, but she was just another pawn in his evil scenario scheme. I hope that she and her kids never benefit from that money. I have been hesitant to write this. It feels disloyal and yet healthy too. But I'm nervous. I realize, though, that it may help another scapegoated child out there who thinks they are a loser because they are bad, when the truth is that they are the loser only in that family and only because within that family, that is what the narc decided. The narcissist's will is meant to hurt, and that is legal here for a parent to intentionally hurt their child in a will is still child abuse. It's child abuse from beyond the grave. I think laws should change. Can't do it. You can't. How you gotta legislate them? Because there's still gonna be a narcissist. Laws are not gonna change the narcissist. They're not. They violate every law anyway. You can't. They just see that as a new challenge. Laws do not change the narcissist because the behavior is still going to be there. And the narcissist would rather go to prison or die. They'd rather murder suicide than have you get the money. Trust me. In countries where you can't cut your kids out, I guarantee you there's a higher occurrence of parents killing their children. Back to my question. I wonder how to handle this regarding the contact with my extended family and how I think of myself as a constant victim every time I worry about my health and feel angry that the golden child and her 2 children live worry-free in luxury. I want them exposed, but I'm not sure what exposure will do. So for now, signed anonymous. You know what it'll do? It'll freak her the fuck out. The narcissist fears exposure. You have to expose them. I told you what you could do. I think, blogs, a YouTube channel. If you could get your hand, I would take out full page ads in her home fucking town. And what I would do, I would cut out your entire family. Because they all know about it and nobody stands up for you. So what purpose do they serve? Zero. Zero. And I would continue to expose them. I would post the will. I would post copies of everything you have. Put it out there publicly and watch them freak out. And don't acknowledge them when they freak out. You just talk through to everybody. You don't talk directly to them. You don't argue with them. They don't exist. All that exists now is the story. And you just talk to the story. And you put it out there. And I guarantee you, your sister will freak out. Freak out. That's the best you can do here because there's no laws you can change. Narcissists don't follow laws. You can't pass laws to control the narcissist. You just can't. So, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your contribution and your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it growing, surviving, and expanding, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance.